Okay. We are so. Why is it? It wasn't crooked before I pushed record. God damn it. It looked fine, and now it's crooked. Alright. We're almost there. Number 9. Almost done. Almost finished. Bada bing, bada boom. Bob's your uncle. There we go. And we have The New Guy, starring DJ Qualls, and Eliza Dushku, and Eddie Griffin. Yeah, this was a comedy. Came out in the mid-2000s, and I really enjoyed this movie. The last couple, like with Balls of Fury and this one, I really enjoyed them. Like by the end of the film, I was like, fuck yeah, you know? So, hello. This movie, the story goes that Dizzy Harrison is he's a blip, as they say. He's a nerd kid who gets picked on a lot, and so after an incident which sends him to prison for some reason, we'll get to it, he gets talked to by Eddie Griffin, who is this prison guru guy, and he tells him, hey, you gotta start over. So he ends up going to a new school and creating a new identity, and yeah, becomes Gil Harris, who is cooler than the rest of them. But even though there's a little iffiness, he doesn't forget who his friends are and who he really is. So there's that. But the problem comes from a jock, the main jock, whose name escapes me. But you know, it's basically like a High School Musical situation before High School Musical. He gets there, he starts to change the status quo. Everybody's hanging out with everybody, but this one guy is like, no, I don't like that, because he thinks there needs to be order, where the tough people gotta bag on the nerds. So, yeah. She bang up on my nose. My sneeze. Jesus. Alright. So right away this movie starts us out by showing us Dizzy Harrison and how he's not popular. Tries to ask one of the popular girls out. Doesn't work. Picked on. There's a gag where apparently he was duct taped to a chair, and they put fake boobies on him. You know, and him hop around in the chair. So he's been humiliated, and there's an incident in which he's in the school cafeteria. He's still trying to ask this girl out, and they pants him. This school nurse lady, whatever, one of the older lady teachers goes up, grabs him by the dick, and like, basically they call him broke dick, because basically they think they broke it. But no one else gets in trouble for that. It's like in My Super Ex-Girlfriend, where she comes in, swoops, and makes him naked, but he's the one that gets in trouble. It's like that. Like, his pants are pulled down by the jock here, and nothing. I don't know. So because of this stupid ass therapist that he goes to says that he has Tourette's because he keeps swearing. There's not Tourette's. He's pissed off. Yeah, she's so fucking stupid. I don't understand. She's probably like the most unnecessary thing in this, because she keeps popping up for no reason. Like, she's like, oh, he's got Tourette's and everything, and he just needs to take this medicine. So she gives him medication, and he's just like down in the stuff. He's over medicated, and he goes to this like a church revival thing in the mall, where he starts to publicly humiliate himself and do, hey man, that sort of thing. And he gets arrested for it. Which I understand, like, public, because obviously he was taking drugs. So it'll be public intoxication, right? But prison, like, he was intoxicated from prescribed medication. This wasn't illegal drugs, but he went to prison. This is where he meets uh, Eddie Griffin's character. And I should tell you that there's a framing device to this film that has Eddie Griffin talking to someone. We don't find out who that is till the end of the film, but he's talking to someone, telling them the story of Dizzy Harrison. Uh, excuse me. So yeah, he's in a funk band. I should mention too, but he gets basically tutored by him. He says, "Hey, what you gotta do? You know what I did? I got kicked out of my old prison, got sent here, and now everybody my bitch. I was the bitch from the bitch to the bull." He says, and now, he gets that. You stealing my Janet? That kind of thing. I don't know if I can do it right, but so he's like, yeah, that's how I do it. So Dizzy decides that instead of just asking his dad, hey, I'm not enjoying myself at the school, can you transfer me to another one? Although his dad's played by Lyle Lovett. There's a lot of cameos in here, and we'll get to those. But his dad's kind of an idiot. So, he decides he's going to try to get expelled. And so he's like, he starts doing stupid shit. Doesn't work. The lady says, "Oh, we're just gonna up his dosage or something." As though he spies on the principal, which has a connection to Lawnmower Man because it's Terry. Oh, Job, from Lawnmower Man in other films. But he spies on him with the camera from class, which his teachers just let him do. And it still doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. So he decides to take the advice of Eddie Griffin and he said that he finally got kicked out of that one prison by hitting the warden on the ass. So he sees the principal. He's going to hit him with the with a mop. But he doesn't, but he breaks the mop for some reason. Why would you? I don't know. But the principal sees this and expels him for breaking school property, which I feel like that would just be a suspension, but okay. So he's going to get transferred to a new school, which for some reason we don't see the consequences from the dad for this. I don't know. So he goes back to Eddie Griffin, whose name I can't remember right off the top of my head. Sorry. And basically teaches him how to be tough, be the bull, not the bitch, that sort of thing. Who's the bitch now? And all that stuff, teaching him. And he goes to a new school. He gets a makeover and everything, and he's no longer Dizzy Harrison. He's Gil Harris. So he's kind of become this, and he's going to change things. So then we meet the major players that we're going to see here. We have Eliza Dushku as Danielle. Then there's the bully guy, whose name also has left me, just bully guy. And then there's Ed, who's the short little dude who we see here and there. The problem comes from the fact that that these actors are like in their 20s, especially with DJ Qualls and Eliza Dushku. Like Eliza Dushku and DJ Qualls already played high school students years ago. So now they're in high school. Like, no, DJ Qualls played a college student a couple of years earlier, and now he's playing a high school student, and he doesn't look like a high school student. You could tell he's in his mid-20s. And Eliza Dushku's not in high school. Come on. I'm just saying. But, yeah. And there are some students here that look like they're in their 20s. Like, obviously, they're in their 20s. The bully from the previous school, this African-American guy, he looks like he's in his mid-20s. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes, I understand here actors, get them in their early 20s so they look like at least their high school age. Don't get them when they're 25 and up. It always confuses me. You get someone to play a high schooler and they're like 28 years old. It's like, why would you do that? That is too old to play a high schooler. Early 20s, between like 20 and 25, between that, is perfect to play a high schooler. But if they're 28 years old, don't do that. It's just, it's It's the uncanny valley. It doesn't make any sense. But I digress. So Gil gets it in when Danielle asks him to kind of pump up the football team because they always lose. And so he starts helping the football team win. He goes to football games, he helps them win, and eventually this causes him to kind of push his friends away because he's with Danielle at this the record store. And even though we just saw, like Danielle explained she had another friend that she pushed away when she got popular. She kind of explained that a little bit. He then just does the same thing. Like, I don't think we needed both things in the same scene, but I don't know. He doesn't forget them, though. It was just for the public, as he finds out that his band is going to play the dance. So there's that. So he's kind of both characters in a way, because, like, I don't know. Gil Harris, when he goes to them, oh, we got booked for the band, baby. Booked for the dance, baby. And it's like, okay, but you're going to be Gil Harris in this funk band. Supposed to be a new identity, but okay. I digress. But yeah, and I'm just kind of moving around the cameos for now because we'll get to it towards the end because there's this film has two connections to prior films, and we'll get to it. One, and then there's another. But yeah, there is two connections, but it's one is the same actor, another one is from they were on the same show, so we'll get to that. But basically, they have to go against Rocky Creek, which is where he was from. He's in East Highland now, but he was in Rocky Creek, and so he doesn't want to go to the game because they'll recognize him. But he ends up being talked into it by Danielle, and wouldn't you know it, he helps them win. But the football jock guy recognizes him. So when he goes to confront him, though, everybody in the school has now become like all friends and everything, except for the one bully. But and so the bully from East Highland, or West Highland, whatever, teams up with the bully from Rocky Creek to humiliate him. So you have this school dance thing, and there are scenes, romantic comedy scenes with Diz and Danielle throughout the film. There's one that kind of bugged me. I was making lunch when it happened. Is when they're at the bar. She's working at a bar, even though I guess she must be 18. I guess, but can you be 18 and serve alcohol? I don't think so. I don't know. And there's this woman that's protective of her because she doesn't want her to end up like her mother, and she just keeps throwing stuff at Diz. It's not funny. It's too repetitive, and it unnecessary overall. But we get to the dance or concert performance. And apparently everyone is tricked into believing Creed is going to be there, which they mentioned Creed a couple times. And it tells you what era this is coming from. But it's on the back of a menu, as they state. People will just believe it. Okay. But this is all a ploy by the two bullies to reveal that Gil is Dizzy, which everybody turns on them, sort of, except for Danielle and Ed, because Ed helps them duct tape the bullies, because Eddie Griffin and the prisoners show up with the help of the warden and two guards, which is really funny to me. Like they have that, like they show earlier that they have that prison is basically like the warden's even getting tattoos, and so yeah, basically under their control anyway. But yeah, which is why he's allowed to keep going in and out of there, even though he's not in prison. I don't know, but. So yeah, and then they kind of make up because they're like, you lied, but he really was still himself, even though. And there is a running joke with okay, so I guess these are not cameos; these are actually characters. You have his friends are played by Zoe Deschanel, Jared Mixon, you may know from Me, Myself, and Irene, and Perry Shen. I was like, where do I know him? I know him somewhere, and once I saw his name was Perry Shen. Like Perry Shen. He's from Hatchet. the Hatchet movies, actually, and Victor Crowley. Yeah, Hatchet. So, yeah. And there's a running joke where he keeps saying stuff that sounds gay. He's like, well, did that sound gay? And yeah, okay, another running gay joke. These movies in the 2000s, yeah, they have them. But I think this one's handled well because it goes in the opposite direction. You think by the end he's going to reveal that he's gay. And then you have Zoe Deschanel playing this character who would obviously have a crush on Diz. And then in a twist, she actually has a thing for Perry Chen. And yeah. But yeah, and it ends with happiness. And we get the cameos put in at the end. So let's talk about the cameos in this because there are a bunch of them. In The Prisoner Alone, you have Henry Rollins, who plays the warden. Horatio Sands is like an exercise person that helps them. You have Valente Rodriguez, Ernie Cardenas from George Lopez show. That's the connection to Balls of Fire because of George Lopez. Josh Todd, the lead singer of Buckcherry, is in the prison. Yeah. And you have the actual actor connection. Both Jerry and Charlie O'Connell are in this film. And it's weird. Are they supposed to be high schoolers? Because they were north of 30, man. They were in their mid-30s at this point. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. This was in the 2000s, and O'Connell was already in his early 20s playing a college student in 1996 in Sliders. And now you're saying he's back in high school at almost in his mid-30s. I don't think so. I don't know. It's hard to explain with them. But they're not alone in their cameos because they keep harassing Tony Hawk, who I think is playing himself. And there's a running gag where they keep like messing with him, and they're at the football game, and they keep dumping popcorn, and they're yelling for West Highland, and he pops up yelling for Rocky Creek and pouring popcorn on them. So he kind of gets back, sort of thing. I mentioned Terry from Lawnmower Man, and then you have Lyle Lovett, who's not really a cameo; he's a character in the film. I think that's pretty much about it. I guess, but yeah, there's cameos galore in this thing that you just wouldn't. Wow, this is one of those movies where, like, it's a straight up comedy. It's not what you would call a parody or anything. It's a straight up comedy, but there's a lot of cameos in this, which is pretty cool. And I would have to say, when it comes to the new guy, it's pretty good. So, don't gotta do the next one because we know what it is. It is I Love You Man, which is interesting because I've only seen this movie once. So, yeah, about this family video around the time it came out. So I've only seen it once. So we'll see. But we already know there's a connection. And I'll write down the connection to this. My notebook's over there. But so what are your thoughts on the new guy? Comments below. If you're itching. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.